Okay, let's go. Let's get started. So, hi guys, welcome to the session. If you guys have any suggestions for the session, if you have any suggestions for this session, please let me know in the comments. So, let's get started. So, let me introduce myself. I'm Samarth Nayyar. I'm currently the lead of DSC VIT, and today I'll be taking a session in association with Snapchat and DSC VIT. And today it's all about introduction to design, how to make good illustrations, what is good, what is bad, and a bonus thing for you all is how to make Snapchat filters. Everybody uses them. How do you make them? What are the specifications? And I have a very good surprise for you at the end of this. A very good news so that all of you can make Snapchat filters and get them out to anybody you want. So let's start out with Snapchat. So I'm pretty sure everybody knows what Snapchat is, but for the person who's living under a rock right now, I'll put it out what it is. You can send pictures to people, and you can send videos to friends, people, and you can also create stories which people can watch. You have hundreds of filters. They depend on the place you are, and even the good filters are sorted out by Snapchat and put on the screen so that everybody can use them. And the best part about that is that you can make your own filters. And there are two types of filters, I would say. So one is lenses and one is filters. So yes, lenses are your real life overlay videos. We won't be going over that at the moment, but maybe if you guys give us a good response, we can have another video covering that up. And the other one is filters. So filters are small icons or small illustrations or images on the top of your screen, and they depict your mood. They can show what's happening on your phone, or even just something random, just if you want to add some aesthetic on your picture, right? So so today we will learn how to make filters. So there are two ways of making filters, right? So you can either use a editing software on a system, and that's what we're going to do today. uh, and we're going to use Adobe XD because for me that's the easiest to start off with. It's the smoothest, and the best part about that is it's free. There's another way of making filters, which is using the inbuilt filter maker on Snapchat's website. That's currently not available in our region, but if you use a VPN or something like that, you can probably make it. But it's a very good way of making your filters. But I would suggest making it on an editing software and having the specifications done right so that you can just directly upload it. It's a much easier job, and it gives you much more freedom. So we'll go over the first method, right? So there's a lot of softwares you can use. You can use Adobe Illustrator, you can use Photoshop, you can use SketchUp, you can use Adobe XD, right? But the first three are paid here. Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, both of them come in an Adobe package, which is pretty expensive. And why would you want to pay to just make a filter? Going down the line, you have Sketch, right, which is also paid but not as expensive as the other two, but that's more of a UI software. Same comes for Adobe XD. That's also a UI UX software, but it's got good capabilities in terms of making a illustration or making icons on it. So today we'll be making two filters, and I'll be covering over how to make them. One of them will be an icon based one, and one will be an illustration. So the second method is the website, and it has a lot of templates, or you can upload your own picture. Since, as I told you, that it's not available in our region, so we'll go with the other version, and we'll also be covering a lot of techniques, small tips on how to design stuff through that. So there are a lot of things you need to keep in mind, because when you're making a filter, right, you need to think of different phones on it. It's on. There might be someone who has a very small phone or someone that has a very big phone. So it might come beautifully on a very big phone, but it might get cropped out on a small phone. So there are a little bit of guidelines. you need to follow. They're very, very normal. There's nothing that difficult to follow about that. Is that the first one is obviously the content should be at the bottom, not the top, because a lot of actions on Snapchat are on the top, and if you add a filter on top, it'll probably interfere with that as well. And you should not add any frames or borders. If you want to, they should be very thin, and it should cover a very small amount of area. So text is much more preferred in comparison to graphics, because text, the Snapchats mostly, they last around for 10 seconds and then they disappear. So it's much easier to grasp text over graphics. So it might give you a better chance of making a better filter. And the filter should not cover most of the screen, because obviously it's an addition to the picture you've taken, right? So we'll be working on that, and let's get started. If anybody has any doubts, you can ask me in the comment section. We'll be taking a 2 minute break, and I'll be setting up the software, and then we can move forward. Okay, so let's get started with making design stuff, right? So let's open up the software, right? So we'll be opening up Adobe XD, and this is what you're greeted with. So it might be a little difficult to grasp at first, but it's fairly simple if you follow the instructions I'm giving you at the moment. So Snapchat filter, right? You use Snapchat on your phone, so you don't need to make something that's for websites or iPads, right? You have your section of phone on the left hand side, and you can click on that and open up a area where you can make stuff for phones. But it's very important to look at all the screens and pan out what is the most important screen for you, right? So what we'll be starting out with is making an iPhone X over there. So if you select that, it comes here, and then if you click on it, it opens it up. Then, so you need to compare your designs, right? So there are a lot of tools on the left hand side. We'll click on the second one from the bottom. It's called the artboard tool, and you can add more artboards, right? So we've added an iPhone X, right? So we also need an Android phone in comparison, so that we can see how our stuff looks. Okay, so as you can see, Android phones are much less in height, and the width is same, but they're much less in height. So you need to keep that in mind, because it cuts off a lot of area. So when I start off, there's a very important part in Adobe XD, which is called guides, which I like to use. So if you're on your artboard like this, and if you go to the top of it or at the bottom or any side of it, you can see these arrows coming up, and if you pull down on them, that's a guide for you to work out with. So I like to leave out 100 from top and 100 from bottom. So when you leave out 100 from top and 100 from bottom, you can see that you have a lot of area that is restricted. You need to keep that area out, because that might get cut out when it's an Android phone, right? So we'll come to that point later. So before making a Snapchat filter, right? Let's get over some designing tricks I'll be putting it out, and let's see how we make stuff in designing, right? So let's move here. If you press spacebar and scroll, you can move around the area and you can see where you want to move. So you have a lot of tools here, right? So you have a square tool, you have a circle tool, you have a triangle tool, you also have a line tool, you also have a pen tool. So pen tool is the most important tool in designing, right? So when you make a line, you need to give it a little bit of shape, you need to curve it around the edges and see how it works out, right? So that is where the pen tool comes in. So if you click on a point and click on another point and hold your mouse down and drag, you can see that you can create shapes. Pretty neat, right? So how does the shape thing work? So we all have studied a little bit of maths. I know we all hate it, but we need it. It's needed everywhere, and it's very important here. So when you make a point like this, you can see that this was the line I made, right? So when you make something with the pen tool, you get a tangent over there, and that is what defines your curve. So the tangent right here. So if I move the tangent like this, it changes the angle, right? So this is the line which defines its shape, and this is the basic idea on how the pen tool works. So if you draw something like this, finds the angle of the next path as well, because you have another tangent right there. So if I click here and if I go move upwards, you can see that the right hand side tangent is already defined because it defines the left hand side tangent. Yes, that's how angles work. That is how you get smoother illustrations, right? So I can probably make something like this, and let's do something like this. So we got a very different kind of shape, right? And you might be thinking that I don't want this curve over here. How do I change this? How do I change that angle here? It's not recommended to do, but sometimes you have to do it. So if you push down the Alt button or the Option button on Mac, you can change a single tangent. So if I want to change this tangent like this, I can do that. If I want to change this tangent like this, I can do that. So I completely change the shape. But because it's not equal on each side right now, you can see that it's not so smooth here. So that is why it's not recommended to do so. So if you want to remove the smoothness, you can make both of them in a straight line. If both the angles are on the same line, straight line, then you can see there's no more a crooked edge at the end, right? So that is how you create shapes. So let's move forward to a very important part. You might not be used to the point of making shapes with the pen tool. It takes some time to grasp onto. So there's another very powerful tool for you, which is called the Pathfinder. And this is one of my favorite tools. You can create any shape with it. You just need to figure out a few things, and it's very simple, right? So let's create two shapes right here, and we have two shapes here, and if you overlay them, so what I'll do is I'll make two squares for you right here, and if I select both of them, what you can do is you have a very small list of icons here, right? These define the Pathfinder, which is very important of making shapes if you don't want to use the pen tool. So the first one, it combines both of them and removes all the area between them. So if I click on this, it makes one shape out of it, and I can use that shape anywhere I want, right? So similarly, if I want to use the second one, I can do this. It cuts out the front one and uses only the back one. Very simple. You made another new shape, right? Then you can obviously click on the third one, and you can select the center part, the part which overlaps in both of the shapes. So you made another shape out of it. So we just click the three buttons, you made three new shapes just out of one overlapping thing, right? So if you click on the fourth one, this is very important. It creates a shape and it removes the middle part of it. So very important, and a very useful tool if you want to create shapes and you don't like the pen tool. I personally prefer the pen tool, but because I've been using it for a long time. But for starting out, obviously you can work out with Pathfinder. Do use Pathfinder from time to time, but the pen tool gives you much more advantage over other things. So now you might be thinking, this is all white. We need some color in it. Yes, you do need color in it, and color is very, very important in design. There is also the two types of colors, right? So on the right hand side, under the appearance tab, you have a lot of things. It's overwhelming at first, but once you get used to it, it's very, very simple and it makes your life very easy. So let's select the triangle tool here, right? And if you're going to fill, you can choose the color you want to fill in, right? So let's give it a good purple color here, and very, yeah. So this looks nice. Now you might be noticing something called border under it, right? So the values under the border thing, they're very important just for the border part. They're not important for the fill part. So let's increase the size of the border so that it's much more visible to you guys. You guys can see the border here, and now you can change the color of the border as well. So to give it a bit of contrast, yellow and purple work very well together in my opinion. So we'll make something like this. So you can see I changed the border color and I changed the colors of the fill, and I can easily manage how my shape looks. So right here, the two most important things for colors are fill and border. When you make minimalist designs, you don't usually use fill, or usually don't use border. You only use fill, but in some cases you do use border. It is a very important part, because what border does, it gives you a lot of freedom in terms of separating different elements, and sometimes that's very important, right? So let's do one thing. Let's make a shape out here, and let me give you a brief idea on every other thing that is happening on the screen, right? So we know what fill is, right? So we choose a color and give it a fill. Right here we know what border is and what the size the border does as well. So this is what border is. Yeah, so this is your shape at the moment, right? And let's see if I can change something about it. So there are a lot of icons below it and above it as well. So we'll go from the top to bottom. So in the appearance tab, you might be seeing something like 100%, and there's a slider next to it. So sometimes it's important that things behind an illustration are also visible. So there comes your opacity part of it, and you can decrease and increase the opacity. I can see something behind it, right? So let me give you an example. Let's make a circle, and let's move it behind us. If this happened very quickly for you, I'll be teaching those actions as well, but not right now. Let's cover up the basics. So you want to see the circle behind the square at the moment, right? So if you decrease the opacity, you can see the circle as well, right? Square is right there, the circle is also visible. So that's initially what opacity is for you. Then moving down the line, you have some number and some shapes out there, right? So this is called border radius, and sometimes you don't need sharp edges, which are not that important. So we can increase this value, and you can see that my square is getting a little rounded from edges. So yeah, you get a lot of freedom in terms of that. So let's do this. Okay, so it's a little rounded, and you can manage that as well. Now, right view, we did talk about the size, right? But there are two more values right next to it, which is called dash and gap. So what is a dash? A dash is a line which has a gap between it, right? So you remember it like that. So if you increase the dash part, you can see that defines the width of a dash in the border, right? So if I increase the size, you can see that each dash is increasing its size. So if it's 26 at the moment and I make it 46, you can see that this dash increases size. But you need a little bit of variation, right? You need to decrease the gap between them maybe. So you can do that as well. You get that freedom as well. If you want to increase the gap, you get that freedom as well. So there's a lot of freedom for you to do stuff. And design is a very, very big domain, and There's a lot of endless possibilities with only these small kind of things. So, so what we'll do right now is we'll make some icons, and but before that, let's look at the comment section. If you have any doubts, put it out. We'll take a 5 minute break. You guys can probably recreate what I did and practice it out for yourself and ask any doubts if you have. So it's 5:32 at the moment. We'll start 5:40ish again. I'll what watch out for some doubts, and sure, let's talk. Okay, so there was a guy who asked me that maybe we can give out some directional hints on where to select the tools from. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so we can probably take a screenshot here and then I'll mark out things where each and everything is, right? So, uh, yeah, so this is our screen at the moment, right? And this is our Adobe XD screen right now. And where are all the tools, right? So we were talking about the tool used for making squares and circles and triangles, right? So you'll find them right here. Your tools for those are right here, and you can see them marked in a red square. And these are your tools for making basic shapes, right? Very important basic shapes: square, circle, triangle. If you've done some drawing, you do realize that every shape is made out of these three initial shapes. Moving above these three, you have another tool, which is the selection tool. So you guys can see that if the selection tool is chosen, I can move things around in the software, which is the most important part. Obviously, you can create shapes, but you need to balance those out and manage those. So we talked about moving things around. We talked about making different shapes, and there is also another tool, which is the line tool and the pen tool. We talked about, right? Pen tool for making shapes, and line tool for making straight lines. So those are the tools right there. And you also have a text field. So if you want to add some text, you can obviously add it there. I'll be focusing on illustrations at the moment, so I didn't talk about text for now. And obviously we talked about the first tool we use, which was the artboard tool, to make different screens so that you can manipulate and check out how your design is going to look on different screens, right? So these are your basic tools. Moving on the right hand side, we can check out the fill and also the border part, right? So as we were talking about, the first thing was the Pathfinder tool, right? So this is your Pathfinder area, and these are your four icons you use for making different shapes. If you don't like using the pen tool, you can use the Pathfinder to create different shapes, as we talked about, right? And moving down the line, you can use these as well, but I don't want to confuse you guys by giving you a lot of stuff in the start. So we'll skip over these things and we'll move down to the appearance part. So we were talking about opacity, right? And you can see that this is the area where you change the opacity. You can set the percentage and you have a slider right next to it. You also have the fill and border right under it, where you can decide the color, you can decide the border, and if you click on these small boxes right here, you can change the fill, color, and if you want to remove the fill completely, you can completely uncheck it. Same goes for border, and the right below it is the size, dash, and gap we talked about, to change the border shape, to change the border size, and also how the gaps come in between that. That's completely upon you on your design. And moving down, I don't want to confuse you guys again, so we'll get started with making icons now. So as I talked about, we'll be making two designs for your Snapchat introduction, and one of them is an icon and one of them is an illustration. So let's make something, right? So we've talked a lot, we have talked about a lot of theory, but where is something to make, right? So let's make a very simple design, right? So this is your phone screen, and let's give it an image. Let's imagine there's an image in the background, right? So what we can do is we can go into Google Images, right? And let's search for something like selfie. Okay, so hmm okay, we'll use this. So this is the image. Suppose somebody's taken this image on Snapchat and he wants to use it. So we'll be taking this as an example on how to build upon it, right? So to use an image in Adobe XD or any other software, what people usually do is they download the image and then they drag and drop it into the software, which is completely something I'm very against. It takes up space in your system. You need to sort the files out, you need to rename them so that they are not lost again and again, right? But what you can do is, if you right click on the image and you click on copy image, right, it copies this image. And if it's a very high quality image and you paste it right here, it comes perfectly, and you can probably resize it from the edges. If you hold down your mouse and drag in from the edges, you can resize the image or any other object for a matter of say. So let's say this is our selfie image on Snapchat and we need to add a filter over it. So you can see, when you're inside an artboard, anything that's outside the artboard is gone. You cannot see that because that's not important. That's what's on your screen. So that is a very good part of Adobe XD. So let's make a filter, right? So let's say that this guy is trying to send out a filter to his friend, and he wants to show that he does a lot of coding, and he wants to add some icons over it, and he has a filter for it. So he contacted me and he asked that I need a filter which shows out that I do HTML5 and CSS3, and I can make a filter for it and send it out. So let's do that for him, right? So let's make the first shape. So we'll use the pen tool here. So I click on the pen tool, I click over here. Wait, I'll zoom in for you guys. And so this is the pen tool, and I click here and I click on shift and drag somewhere. It creates a sharp straight line. Okay, so if I want to create a straight line like this, hold down shift and drag your mouse anywhere. So the angles it can do is, it can go at 0 degrees, it can go 30, it can go to 90, 45, 0. So it's varying in angles of 45 degree, right? So I'll make a 45 degree line like this, and once I'll click there and I'll drag it down again, and I'll keep holding shift so that it continues a straight line. So, and the best thing about Adobe XD, it gives you some highlights if everything is matching, right? So I can see that these two are in line if I click here. So I do this, and as you can see, I got one shape right here. And if I click on Control C and Control V, I can see that I can copy paste it. And if I then I can drag it around. So if I want to create another copy, I can drag it around as well. So instead of copy pasting, what I like to do is I hold down Alt and I click on the object and I drag it around. So that creates an automatic copy for you. Okay. So now if you want to rotate it, you can go to the edge. You can see when you select an object, a box comes around it, right? And if you want to resize it, you can drag and drop and increase the size of the object like this. But if you go to the edge right outside the box, and you can see a very small icon which helps you rotate it, right? So as you can see, I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to hold shift so that I get a very straight angle of rotation. But you can rotate it at normally as well. So as I rotated 180 degree, and now I have an angle right here. So let's make a straight line again, and I'll make a straight line like this, and I'll give it a rotation again. I'll go to this. So some shapes, when they're lines, they do not have a box around them. So if you want to rotate them, you just select one edge of it and then you put it right here, and the other edge and you put it like right here. So you can see that I have a rough kind of shape, right? So you guys can imagine what I'm making. It's used by all designers, right? So let's increase the border size in this, and give it a good color. But to always note down the color of what looks good and what looks bad, you should always add it over the image. So if you want to move things around, you can select all of them together and move them around, but you don't want to drag and drop again and again and select everything again and again. So there's a very small and neat trick which is called the trick of grouping things. And if you want to do that, if you select everything and you press Ctrl G, it groups them, and you can see on the left hand side right here where mouse is, you can see the group is formed, and you can rename it something like icon 1. So if I click on it, it selects all of them together. But you might be thinking that how do I select each and every element inside it again and again? So if you double click on it, you go inside the group and you can manipulate each and every object separately, right? So that is what I'm doing here. And I manipulated the group. Now it looks good, right? Looks better in my opinion. So we'll move the group over here and we'll drag it on top of the image, and you can see it's not visible at the moment, right? So we'll rotate it again a little bit so that it gives a little bit of action over there. And now we need to put in a color that looks good on the filter, right? So what Snapchat recommends is that you use either full black or full white for your icons, because images are of various colors and it might not look good on all images. But white and black, they usually fit in on all images. So we can do that, but let's get crazy here and let's make it a little bit colorful, right? So here's your first icon, and you can put it here, and let's add some text. So if you click on the text icon right here and you drag, you can create some text, and let's type in I love coding. So once you've selected this, you can change the font style. You can see right here, you can select the font size, so font face. So let's go for something that's nice. I really like this font called Campton, and the weight, you can choose the size of it right under it. So if you want to increase the size, it's right here, and you can choose the weight of it. So that is what I've done here, and I think this looks good, and we can drag and drop it here, and right here above this, I love coding. So now if you want to use a color, right, so you don't have to go into fill and find the similar color every time. There's a very powerful tool right next to it right here, the dropper icon. If you click on that and you go anywhere in your software, you can pick up any color. So if I click, go here, pick up the color, click on it, and I can pick up this color. So you can see that your filter, which says I love coding, and I can write about it like this, is ready. So move it a little up, and probably if you want to select all of them together, you can select all of them like this. And if you want to, that is not the best way to do it, because right now you can see I'm selecting the background image as well. So another way of selecting everything together is clicking on different items and holding down shift and clicking again over there. Okay, so if I've selected this, I can hold down shift and click on the other icon as well, and you can see that I've changed color. I've selected both of them, right? So let's do one thing. Let's change the color of I love coding to black, and this looks good over here. And we can probably decrease its size a little bit, put it here. And your first filter with a text and an icon is ready, right? So this is a very basic one. So moving right next to it, I'm not going to be so concise with what I'm telling again and again. I'm going to make something, and if you guys have any doubts, you can ask them in the chat. Okay, so let's take a 2-minute break and let's see if anybody has any doubts. Okay, so in terms of what do I plan on covering, yes, I am making Snapchat filters right now, but within 5 minutes we're going to start on how to make very good hand illustrations and how to make elements which look very good on posters as well. So I think we're done with making Snapchat filters, because you guys have a big, small idea on where to place stuff. So that I have told you to give a lot of space on top and bottom, and I've told you how to make basic stuff. So I think we can move away from making Snapchat filters now and make a poster for our next session. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to give you a very subtle hint on what is the next webinar about, and we're going to work together to make a poster on it. Right? So what we're making right now is going to go up on the DSC VIT Instagram page. It's pretty cool, right? So we can get that started in like 5 minutes, and I'll go and get some water. If you guys have any more doubts, you can ask them, and I'll be sure to answer them. Oh, okay. So looks like nobody else's doubts, so I think we can move ahead and make the poster for our next session. And so this session is not just about giving you theory and branding out Snapchat. Obviously, they're our partner and they give out various tools on how to make filters for you guys, and they have hooked up a very good thing for you guys, which I'm going to talk about at the end of the session. So hang around, and if you have any friends that are not here yet, let them know that they can come now and they can be part of something good, because you're going to make a poster for DSC VIT, and also you're going to learn something pretty awesome soon. So let's make an Instagram poster, right? So let's move here and go into the artboard right here, okay? Artboard section. So the artboard section, sometimes you might not need any of those artboards, right? So you can make your own artboard. If you click on an area and you drag, you can make your own artboard, just like any other shape. So this is your artboard, and if you want to change the name of an artboard, you can directly double click on its name and you can change its name. So we'll name this as next webinar poster. Okay, so let's make poster, right? So what all do you want in a poster, right? What all is important, and how much information do you give out? You don't want to give out too much information, you don't want to give out too less information, because both of the cases can confuse the user, right? And you also need something which makes the poster engaging, because having just text inside it, people are not going to open it, right? So you need some image in it, you need some icons in it, you need some color in it, right? So let me give you an idea on what our next session is about. Our next session is on Golang. Okay, so Golang is a language for a very powerful language by Google. So it gives you a lot of services. So we're going to make a poster using this, right? And since this is our next session, we need to add its logo and its name right there so that people know what the session is about. So as I told you, to use a image, you don't always need to download it, right? You can go to it and you can copy paste it. So I'll go to this image, it's loaded, I can click on copy image, and I can go right here and I paste it. So you can see that the Golang mascot is right here for us to use in our poster. So let me align it somewhere. We'll make it a little small and we'll put it on the top. So this is how it is. And moving down, you need to mention what it is, because some people don't know about it and they need to know what it is. The logo is never sufficient. You need some text next to it telling people what it is about, right? So let's make a text box and let's type in Golang like this. So when we type in Golang and it's decrease the size so that it's perfectly fitting over here, and we put it right next to this. So this is the header, the bottom part, I would say. So the bottom part of our poster is this, and if you move it around, you can see guides on if it's in the center, if vertically or horizontally, right? So since I'll group these things together so that I can move them around easily. So I'll move this little here and I'll select both them and group it. Name this as Golang logo, and you can see I'm putting it at bottom, right? And we also need the DSC VIT logo, right? So let's search that. I have that on my system, right? So you can see that my logo file is right here. I'm going to open it up and I'm going to show you on how we use different elements and move them around from one screen to another and from one file to another. So if I select anything here in one Adobe XD file and I copy it and I go to another file, right, and I open this file and I paste it, it automatically comes here for you. So moving across files is very easy in Adobe XD. It's very simple as well. So very intuitive. So let's put it right here. And this is our DSC VIT logo. Okay. So this gives us an idea of what the session is about and who's conducting it, right? So we need some text about it, okay? So I'm not the person taking the session. I do not want to define what the next person is taking, so I'm going to put in some filler text and probably we can change it later. So let's put in a text heading right here and type it as introduction to Golang, okay? And you can align text, as you can see right here under the font size. There's the normal alignment icons that's there in Word as well. So you click on the icon and it comes right in the center, right? So introduction to Golang, and right under it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another text box and I'm going to add some text, right? So I need to type in some text right here. Learn or we can about backend services, uh, using Golang. Okay, so let me select all of this text and make it a little light so that it gives a little bit of contrast on what is important and what is not important in this poster, right? So we need to show the people what is important and what all is secondary, right? So you select both of these and you move them in the center. And now I'm going to increase the size of this as well so that people know that the most important part in this is introduction to Golang, and the next part is less important, but yeah, it's there. Okay, so obviously if they read introduction to Golang, they're going to understand it better than reading learn all you can about backend services using Golang. It's more important to give a heading so that people understand about it before explaining it, right? So this is our poster, but it looks very white right now, right? So we need to probably add some stuff in it, probably an icon, some icons in the background, probably give it a border. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look in chat for some suggestions on what we can do with this poster, and if I like it, only if I like it, we'll do that. Otherwise, we'll go with what I have in my mind. Okay. So feel free to ask your questions and even give suggestions on what we can do in this poster and make it more lively. So we have a suggestion to blank, add some color, right? Yeah. Obviously we can add some color, but how do we add that color? Do we need some icons in it? Do we need some illustration in it? How do we show people what it is doing, right? So we need to plan that out. And if you guys have any suggestions on how we can do that, you can put it out right here, or I'll go with whatever I think is good. We'll make two designs, I would say, and then we'll forward it to people who can decide which one's going to get posted. Okay, so let's see. So yes, you are completely correct on the point that we need some color in it, and we need some faded colors and faded objects in the background. Yes, that is a very good approach. Nikhil Singh has told us that some code related faded color objects in the background, which is what we have done with the Snapchat poster as well, which is on your screen. So as you can see that Snapchat is all about taking pictures on your smartphone. So you have some camera icons and you also have a phone icon over there, and they're faded in the background. They do not touch in with the text. They do not interfere, but they do not make it seem that blank as well, right? So yeah, we can do that. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to make two posters. One in which there's going to be a hand which is lifting up the text. So it looks like it's the backbone that's holding the text, and that is what you're going to do in backend services. It's backend for holding up your content of your website, APIs, or whatever you are connecting it with, right? So it gives a basic idea. It's hand coming out, which is holding up the content of the poster. It's the backbone of the poster, right? So that is one thing I can do. The other idea of making faded color objects related to coding is also what I'm going to do. So let's see. Uh, let's do that. Okay. Okay. So we're going to make two copies of this. So if you select an artboard like this and you press Control C plus Control V, it automatically creates a copy for you. And it's very important. Moving down the line, you can keep creating copies of your poster, because sometimes you make something and at that moment it doesn't click, and later down the line you think, that was nice, so maybe we can use that, right? So we need to keep everything backed up, right? So we have our plain poster to the left, and new poster where we are going to create a hand that is lifting up the text is the one to the right side. Okay, so using the pen tool I can create a hand over here, probably like this, and this is probably a good shape for the hand, right? And yeah, it doesn't look that bad. We can probably move it a little here, and no, it looks too long to me, so probably increase the size of this and move it here. So yeah, now it kind of looks like a hand coming out. Maybe we can tinker on it later. So to give it a little bit of character, I'm going to remove the border and I'm going to give it a fill similar to the Golang color, right? And you can see it adds a little bit of zest to the page, right? So let's so it's a hand, right? And it's a t-shirt he's wearing, so you need to add some hand collars to it so that it looks realistic. So that is what I'm going to do here, like this. And I'm going to select the same color here, but as you can see it doesn't fit in that well. So I can go into the fill part and I can maybe make it a little darker so it separates it from it, right? And select both of them, increase the size a little, make it like a little bit rotation like this, and I think it will start looking better, right? Yeah, looks better for me. So as you can see at this moment it looks a little odd because there's a lot of open space on the top and a lot of color in the bottom. So we need to balance that out. So we move this a little to the top right here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this whole thing, rotate it like this, and I'm going to move it like this here. So it's going to balance it out. The text is not in the center, but it balances everything out very well, right? So I think this looks good, gives a good shape as well. Probably if I go like this and here, it'll give a much shallower shape, and yeah, it gives a better shape now. And yeah, so now we need to make a hand, right? How do I make the hand? Again, we can use the pen tool here. I'm gonna make a hand like this, and it's gonna be like this. The finger, it's something like this. The hand is right here, and I'm gonna remove the border again from this. I'm gonna give it a good fill of skin color like this, and I'm gonna, so if when you're on a artboard you can see that some things are above another, right? So As you can see, this is selected, and on the left hand side also you can see that path 9 is highlighted and it's on top. So it's looking a little odd when it comes over the collar. So I'm going to move it below the collar, and if I select the collar I can see it's path 8, right? So I need to move path 9 below path 8 so that it looks a little more realistic in my opinion. Give it a little bit of rotation like this, and you can see that I get a good shape here, right? And yeah, I think this looks better, and if we give it like this, looks more like a hand, right? It's looking like a hand that's going out. And we also, I think, to give it a little bit of a realistic factor, let's add a thumb here like this, right? Something like this would give it a little bit of realistic factor. I'm going to remove the border, I'm going to increase the fill, and I'm going to give it a little bit of darker shade here, move it here, and I'm going to move it below path 9 as well, so that's behind the hand. I'm going to give it a little rotation, and you can see that it looks a little odd, right? So the idea didn't work out. So that is what's about designing. Everything doesn't work out every time, so it might not look nice sometimes. So what we can do here is we can pull this down and probably make it like a finger. So we adapted the idea and we added another finger. It's looking like finger, I would say, or probably if we do like this, it'll look more like a finger, right? So it's a hand coming out with the middle finger popping down, and it's lifting up the backend services. So yeah, I think we can work on this, and we need to refine it a little as well. So making the shapes a little smoother will help, like this probably, and yeah, looks good. I don't like this finger, so I'm gonna remove it. And what all what else can we add in this to make the hand look a little more realistic, to make it look like it's a hand, not a shape that we've put in? Yes, it does look like a hand at the moment, but if I zoom out, I don't see the color in the hand, so I'm going to increase the color right here, or probably something a little more pink in my opinion. This looks nice. Yeah, so this is nice. So we can select all of this together, group this, and name this the hand, and rotate it like this so it looks a little like it's lifting it. Or we can put it under Golang as well. Yeah, that's not bad. Not a bad idea. Nah, I don't like it. I'm gonna put it right here, right in the middle. Any other ideas that you guys have? Just put it out. We'll give a 2 minute break, and then we'll work on another iteration of this poster, which is the one which Nikhil suggested, which is making icons faded in the background. So looking at a suggestion by Abhimanyu Desai, he says, can we have some animation on this Golang picture element? Would it be proper to have an animation on that Golang icon? Yeah, that's a very good idea. But you do realize the point that it's supposed to, right? It's not a video. If you guys want a video or a webinar on how to make animated videos and how to make animated elements, you can let us know. We'll be having a feedback form circling out after this, so you can suggest us what all we can do. And but making animations on a still image is not possible, right? But yeah, you can make an make animation. So what I was thinking is, probably, since you've suggested making a animation on the Golang icon, yes, so that we can do. That's a very good idea. So I don't want to confuse you guys. So uh, s- I'll give you guys 2 to 3 more minutes on to give out more ideas on what we can do. Until then, I'm going to make something in the background, and when you're back, I think it's going to make Abhimanyu Desai very, very happy. Okay, so as I promised, I have made something for Abhimanyu in the background. Since you guys were, weren't that active in the things, we don't have any other suggestions. Yeah, we have another session from Simran which says two lines of different lengths running on the side as borders, probably on the left side of the poster in the same color as the gola. Yes, that's a very, very good idea. Yes, we can incorporate that. Yes, look, let's make that. Let's make that. Very, very good idea. Right, good job. We'll make that. Why not? So, uh, let's do one thing. Is first, I'll show you guys what I've done for Abhimanyu right here. You asked for some animation and some movement in the icon, and that gave me an idea that why not make the hand move and look, make it look like the Golang icon is bouncing over it. I mean, I kind of did a okay job with it. I think I can do better with it. But yeah, you get the idea on how to make stuff, right? So I'm not going to teach this at the moment because this is very much complex in terms of Adobe XD and even Adobe After Effects. But it's also very easy. So if you guys want that, do let us know in the comments, and we will be sure to make that happen, right? So yeah, we can. That's a very good idea. Yeah, very good idea. Yeah. So let's try out what Simran suggested. Is uh, I'm going to delete these two. These were the two I used for making the animation. So let's make something that uh, Simran suggested, right? So we'll make another copy of the poster and we'll make something that Simran suggested. So we'll add two lines here, like this probably, and another one under it. As I told you to copy it, you can click on Alt or Option and drag it down, and you create a copy of it. You select both of these together and click on Alt again and drag it, and you can see that it creates a copy for you again. And I can rotate it like this. So yeah, this looks pretty right. That looks nice. It's a good idea or something. We can increase the border a little and give it a color of the Golang icon. Give it. I'm gonna move this one a little down. Give it a gap of like 20 here. I'm gonna give a gap of 20 here as well. And yeah, looks nice, but it's still a little empty, right? We can probably make something else that fits into the poster. Hmm. I think I'll go with what Nikhil suggested and make some icons in the background which fit in pretty well, like something related to copy. Um, ठीक है, so what we'll do is we'll make some icons in the background. So we can make a laptop, right? A laptop is related to coding. And I think we can make a globe as well because it's a backend service and it connects you all around the globe. It makes an API which can be used anywhere, right? So yeah, two icons spread around would look nice. So let's get started on the icons. Let's make a laptop first. So we'll make a rectangle right here and we'll make another rectangle right below it. And to give it a little sense, going to give it a little opening feel right here. So it looks like the laptop is opening like this. Doesn't look that bad, not bad. We can increase the border a little, move this a little offset, fits in well. I'm going to decrease the size so that it looks like screen inside it, right? So it looks like a laptop, yeah. We can make a trackpad in this, and the trackpad also looks nice. Yeah, that kind of looks like a laptop, I would say. I mean, zoomed out, yeah, it does. I mean, it does give out a feel of a laptop, I would say. I'm gonna group this. I'm gonna give it a fill of this, and I'm gonna change the border color as well. I'm gonna select this at the moment. I'm gonna increase the border thing so it looks a little like this, and I'm gonna decrease the border width as well. So it looks like this. I'm gonna decrease the size. Let's see what I can do. It looks a little odd here. Yeah, this doesn't look that bad. This looks better, I would say. Looks a better laptop. Yeah, I mean, this is not bad. Not bad. I like it. Good ideas. So I'm gonna, it's a group. I grouped it, and I'm gonna name it laptop icon. So it's very important that you label and name everything. So that's very easy for anybody else to pick it up and use it. So I'm gonna add a laptop right here. And what all did we decide? We decided on a globe as well, right? So we will make a globe. So a very neat trick on how to make a globe is if you copy paste four circles on top of one another, select the topmost one and the and decrease its size like this, and the one below it and decrease its size like this, and this one copy paste it, sorry, and this one move it on top and decrease its size as well. So it kind of looks like a beach ball as well, but gives a technical feel to the object of Earth, right? So I'm gonna copy paste all of these again, and I'm gonna rotate it like this. And now let's see what happens when I remove the fill. Right? Kind of looks like a globe. Yeah, I mean we did an okay job here. We've done better. I'm gonna group this and I'm gonna name it as globe. I'm gonna give it a broad fill of this. Sorry, my bad. I'm gonna give it a border of this. Looks nice, I would say. Right. Now this is what I wanted to talk to you about. This is a very important, a very rookie mistake every designer does. When he makes icons, he makes two kinds of icons. One is a stroked icon, which is this globe, and one is a filled icon, which is this laptop. So we cannot make two of them together. We need to make both of them similar, right? So I think what we can do is we can make this one also line, and will start looking better in my opinion. and now they fit in much better together, right? And we can move this here. We can make another copy of this laptop, move it here, somewhere here, somewhere like this. Take this earth and put it here, put this and put this one here. You can see I'm kind of filling in the space for this poster, right? And doesn't look that bad. So I'm going to decrease the size of these two and put it like somewhere here. But as you can see that the icons are very less. We need more icons on this page, right? So to add a little bit of filler, I'm gonna make a triangle and give it again a border of this. Give it a border of this. Right? So I think this also looks okayish. I think we can do better with this. Right? So I think this doesn't look that bad here. And when you make icons, right, you need to execute it better. It takes a little bit of time to make it. So I'm gonna delete these borders for now because I think it gives a lot more space when these borders are not there. And I'm gonna give everything here a fill as well. If I give this a fill, will it border it? Okay, so I think this doesn't look that good. So yeah, I need to work on the icons a little more, I would say. So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open another poster of mine, which is going to help me. I'm going to copy paste some icons from there, and I'm going to, because when I make some posters, I do give a little bit of thought, and I think on what icons I need to make. So yeah, I think we've come up with a very good poster here, which is very clean and looks very nice. I would probably go with this for posting it. We can go with this as well, but it's a little simple, I would say. The icons are not that well thought out. We can make more icons if we want, but that's going to take up more time, and it's already 1 hour, 1.5 hour of a session. I don't want to make it more. So I think if we put these here, they make more sense, like introduction to Golang, and it gives more white space around it, right? So we need more icons in the background. So what we can do is decrease the opacity here. Make a few more copies and throw them around. Let's see how they look. This doesn't look that bad. If we decrease the opacity and they started looking better. So yeah, I mean, this is not that bad. You can go with this as well. So we have two posters here which do look good. I'm going to switch this. It's going to give it a little bit of a switcheroo action right here. So it's like a laptop, globe, laptop, laptop, globe, laptop. So it's like a laptop's connecting to the globe, and the globe is sending back the data to a laptop, which connects to a globe and other again. So it's like a story. I mean, if we put it out like that, so you can see that it's a story right here. So moving along the line, it's like one laptop connecting to the globe, connecting to another laptop, right? So yeah, that's a good story. We, we we can think on it more, but I mean, let's have a vote. Which one do you like? Do you guys like the hand one, or do you guys like the icon one? Which one is our next post? Um, yeah, people are saying the hand one looks better. I agree. I agree. It looks much more cleaner. So yeah, we go with the hand one, and we will post it out. So the next post is ready. We might have a different text in it, or we might have some more text in it, or some less text in it. That would change, but the essential I template of the poster is ready, and I think it's thanks to you guys that we have made something a very very good poster, and I think you guys can probably be very happy that you guys created a poster today. And I can see that Simran has asked, did you self-learn design tools like XD and After Effects? Yes, Simran, I have self-learned them. I wasn't a designer 2 years back, but I started learning them. Since then, I haven't stopped. They're very, very simple. The essential starting part of a design tool is very simple, but what makes you good is practicing and researching a lot, right? So when you practice more and you research more on how to make icons and illustration, what's nice, what colors are nice, you start to grasp more. And since you've asked that, let me show you a few websites that I usually use to see inspiration and to see how usually people create stuff, right? So um, I'm gonna type those ones in the chat as well, and then I'm gonna show it to you guys as well. So the ones I use are Dribble. I also use Hands. I use UIDB. I use UpLabs. So these are the four I use. Pinterest is also nice. Even Instagram is very good for looking at illustration and looking at what is good in the ecosystem of design. So that is very important. So learning these tools is very easy actually. It's not that difficult. You just need to learn how to make shapes, and you just need to learn one essential tool, that is making shapes with the pen tool. And after that, it's all about research. It's all about how you uh, keep practicing, right? So practicing is more important, researching is more important, and you never should think that you've learned everything. You need to keep learning, you need to keep practicing, you need to keep researching, because design changes every month. The people's mindset for design changes every month. The hand thing we made today might look good for some people, but maybe down the line, 1 year from now, people might be saying that, oh, this is too plain, we need something in 3D, right? So we need to adapt to that as well, right? So we need to keep that in mind. So if you, my favorite one out of these is Dribble. I'm going to show you how Dribble works. It's a very very good website, and uh, so this is Dribble, right? And you can go here, you can scroll around, and you can see what people have made. But what I like to do is, suppose we made a hand icon, right? So we can type in hand, and just type in illustration in front of it if you want to make some shape or something like that. And if you want something that is made using simple icons, you can type an icon. If you want to make something that is made using uh, uh, user element or an app icon or something like that, you can type in user interface, right? So you guys can see that what people make and what is very important. So you can look at illustrations here, and you can understand how colors work, how important colors are, how important shadows are. And as you can see that most of these things, like, look at this is simple, very clean, and this is very similar to something we made today. It's just a hand icon with a border around it, but the way the colors have been balanced, it looks makes it look very nice, right? Same goes for something like, I would say something. Everything else is very detailed. We have a lot of different kind of designs here. You have detailed stuff. You have minimal stuff. I prefer minimal. I usually prefer minimal. You can see that this is also something which is very similar to what we made. It's a little more detailed, and it has more ideas on it. But if you guys want, and if you want more sessions on design, do let us know, and you can contact me. uh, Let me show you where you can contact me. So I'm Samarth Nayyar, I'm the lead of DSC VIT, and you can contact me at samarthnayyar123@gmail.com. Okay, so you can contact me here at, and you can ask me doubts. You can even just send me suggestions on how I can improve, or how you want to improve with whatever it is, or if you want to just hang out and just talk, I'm there. Thank you for watching. And if you guys have any suggestions, you can drop a mail to me, or even you can contact the uh, DSCVID page, and also suggest stuff. We have a lot of series going on, and you also have an idea on what is happening next session. That is Golang. So as I promised you guys, a very important announcement and a very uh, subtle hint towards it was given in the starting of the session, and it is related to Snapchat filters, right? So why did I teach you how to make Snapchat filters? Why didn't I all directly start out with making a poster? Because we are having a competition coming soon, right? It's not a competition. I would say it's a portal where you can post your Instagram filters, sorry, Snapchat filters, and we can try and get them approved by Snapchat, right? And you might have something that is on Snapchat. So we at DSC VIT are giving you a medium to post something you make on a portal we will be giving you, and we'll be sending it out to Snapchat. If it's approved, you can have bragging rights in front of your friends and say that you made something that is on Snapchat, and that'll be pretty cool, right? So that's the surprise from our part, and that is me signing off. Samarth Nayyar, DSC lead from DSC VIT. I am a designer. I do UI UX. I do illustrations. I also do animations. I don't want to get into the development side. I do that, but I'm a designer. I want to stick to that. If you guys have any suggestions, do let us know, and feel free to subscribe, like, also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, wherever you want, everywhere. If you just search DSC VIT Vellore, we are there. We write blogs. We also um, also have a lot of GitHub projects. So whatever's fine with you. Thank you for watching.